Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being with us today in this new morning coffee to talk and share about MedCruise crew-friendly approach. You are more than welcome to intervene in the chat section, whether you have a comment or a question for us, for our guest, or for our speakers. I am not alone today as I have dear Lorenzo Vera as a co-host. Good morning, Lorenzo.
Good morning, Anne-Marie. Thank you very much to give me the opportunity to be today with you and here and to this very early hour. Thank you, everyone, to be at 9:30 with us.
Yes, thank you. That's real coffee time for once. So thank you for being with us, Lorenzo. You are Vice President of MedCruise and you lead the Destination Development Working Group. Together, we have the privilege to welcome this morning three wonderful ladies of the cruise community. Kate Bonner, Maritime Commercial Manager at Port of Cadiz, both member of MedCruise. Good morning, Kate.
Good morning.
Catarina Rose, Managing Director at James Rose Navegaçao. Forgive my bad Portuguese accent. Associate member of MedCruise. Good morning, Catarina.
Good morning.
And Calypso Diareme, Commercial Manager, Greece and Cy-prus. And you are Global Head of Cruise Logistics at ATPI. You're going to tell us later more about your company and your mission. Good morning, ladies. Thank you for accepting our invitation to share your valuable experience on this fundamental topic. Lorenzo, in the frame of the Destination Development Group, you laid a survey that has been recently completed about MedCruise crew-friendly approach. The aim of this survey was to collect data on which facilities or services our member could provide to the crew visiting our ports. We usually focus on passengers, let's be honest, but it is also crucial to create a crew-friendly environment in our ports. So we'll share this morning experience, ideas, innovation with our guests and the audience. So Lorenzo, before you present the results of the survey, I would like you to underline the premise of this approach for the audience.
Thank you, Marie, and good morning to all the board members, associate members, and all our colleagues here, and our three great guests, and also to the secretariat. When we began the mandate in 2021, Madam President was one of the tasks was to be focused in the crew. We know that the pandemic was so hard and the most human beings or human ecosystems suffering was the crew. So we have a lot of examples, and Calypso and Catarina have a lot of histories and tales and real histories to say what's happened. So what we do in 2021, okay, we have to focus now also in the crew, because the crew, and we have different panels, we know that they are wonderful ambassadors inside, on board the cruise ship, and also out. So we have cruise passengers that are prescriptors of destinations, and we have crew like ambassadors, because every cruise passenger have their own waiter or the reception person on the desk that they need help, and they are going to ask. They have a very confident trust relationship, also in the big ship, but in the cruise and the luxury cruise lines more. So that is a wonderful channel for ports and destinations to get promoted like ambassadors. So the first was to see the pictures of all the ports. So we launched the first survey that was not very successful. So in Corfu, we sent the second survey, and that was very successful. And the breaking news is that we are going to present today the results for this very exclusive group. The results are total new, and maybe you don't hear me, or yes, or hear well? Yeah,
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, you have some slides, so you can share the
Okay.
result with us.
So this is the breaking news. 81 members have replied, and members, we have 7 associate members and 4 members, okay? Because we have different some associate members, maybe are terminals. So some ports have private terminals, port authorities. So sometimes to see very well the answers on the survey can be tricky, no? But thank you everyone that participate. I'm so happy because you participate like most of you. So I'm so happy. So next slide. Okay, here you have how many ports and terminals have a launch facility or welcome desk for crew. Really 19 because it's 2 repeat answers. They said 21, but it's 19, okay? Because it's what we said. Some ports, they reply the survey, also the terminal and the port authority, okay? So it's not a very big number, but we are focusing to see what we have. And after we do what what is the route map, no? And 74 or 73% we don't have, no? Next slide. So this is the ranking of the service. For sure, free internet is the king of our service. Is very the crew and also the passengers is very good appreciated. It is 72%. After we have practical support, that is 33%. That here, I think in practical support, the port agents have a very great role. So we know that the pillars of that practical support is on the channel of the port agents with the port authority. It's a work of both sides. And retail and free transportation, we have 22%, no? So that will be our ranking, no? Free internet, practical support, and retail offers and free transportation. Free transportation is very important in suburban ports, like in my case or other case, no? The crew really appreciate the transportation, no? About next slide, I like to see some small examples that help us the survey. And for example, Castellón, the Port of Castellón and the Port of Valencia, they are working in a council in a very interesting tool to have all help to sorry, I'm looking for, sorry, here. To that committees of health, secure, and comfort of the crew and shippers. So Castellón, it has made it, and Valencia is in the way. Also, I like to underline Kavala Port Authority because it has special needs for crew. And also, I think it's very interesting in transportation to see, for example, Galata Port or my port of Montreal, we don't separate crew and passengers. Many people at the pier, many crew members ask us if they have transportation differently. In our case, we think it's better to be together, no? Another example, very interesting, for example, is Kusadasi and Bodrum, that they have crew shops in their terminal, only for crew members. That is a great idea because I think crew members need special products and they have their own needs. And also some ports have tourist information points dedicated to them. For example, Ports de Generalitat, Palamos and Roses, and another. So with all these results, we are going to create a map. No, that is the next question, I think so. No, Marie.
Yes, but before the next step, I would like to have some maybe some reaction comments from our guests on those results. If Calypso, do you want to? Do you have some? We can't hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry, I was trying to unmute. Well, I have to say that I'm really, really happily surprised to see this. For many reasons, actually, you know, I mainly come from the travel industry, so it is very important to see that also the rest of the members of the crew cycle see the importance of crew. I mean, their experience has an impact on their productivity and on the whole safety, you know, passenger experience, the image of the cruise industry. And I'm very glad that Lorenzo mentioned that first, of the destination image as well. So I think this is important. And I'm really, really happy, surprised to see that the ports are more well prepared compared to the airline industry I come from. Because, for example, in the airline world, we only have, as far as I know, at least only one dedicated airline seafarer lounge anyway. So I see that we have, what was it, 19, which is a big number for a start. Of course, it can be improved further. But what really impressed me, and probably Anne-Marie, you expect me to say that, is that I saw that some of the lounges have provide emotional support. Yes. I do think this is really important for crew because, okay, practical needs, what we can all imagine, like transportation and, you know, like, of course, connect to their family is important. But have someone to support them emotionally is really, really important. And from what we have seen, it gains more and more importance for both the companies and the travelers. So I'm really, really happy that nice things are happening.
Thank you. Yes, we're going to talk about emotional support, and yes, that's also part of the crew-friendly environment in ports. Kate or Catarina, do you have some comments about the results of the survey? Kate, please.
Yeah, I think congratulations to Lorenzo. Even though it was the second time round, I think it was fabulous to get 81 members to actually participate in the survey. So that's really good. It shows up that although great participation in Wi-Fi for the crew, but apart from that, a hell of a lot needs to be done. But I think it's a wonderful project that you have got started there. Because everybody seems to be in the same boat and we all want to focus on the crew, which is, I think, something that hasn't been done before. And I think coming out of the work you've been doing in the work group over the last few months, some ports are steaming ahead, like Valencia, Castellón, and I'm sure there's others, I don't know them, and it's not our case in Cadiz, that are creating these tools which I guess in the next stage will be sort of best practice and hopefully useful for all of us. So well done.
Thank you, Kate. Catarina, you want to say something as well?
Yeah, I mean, in the last week or two, I've also had the opportunity to speak to some crew because, you know, we had a prior meeting and I said I would. And I've found that quite a few cruise lines already have some programs on board, like they have like the crew club and they organize tours and they organize sports, etc. So I think maybe it could also be important to see what the cruise lines already do offer and then complement it on land and not end up by duplicating things that crew already have on board. I mean, I know one of the cruise companies we work for, they have a crew club and sometimes they ask us to book basketball courts or they bring out the basketball hoops and put them on the quayside and that's allowed and crew play basketball on the quayside. Or they see if there are other cruise ships in port and they try and organize a football match between the crew. So I know that some cruise companies do take this seriously and they are looking into the mental health aspect of crew, etc. So I think, you know, it could also be interesting for MedCruise to try and contact some cruise companies and see what do they already offer crew on board and what can the ports kind of complement shoreside. I mean, that's just an idea because, I mean, I know at least in Lisbon, I think the terminal's doing quite well. I mean, they've got free Wi-Fi, they've got a Western Union guichet where crew can send money home. They've got ATM machine. They've got a small pharmacy near the duty-free shop. So it's got basics. that any crew might need aspirin or whatever. There's a supermarket about 400 meters from the terminal, so they can go and get groceries and water and things like that. And it's about 10-minute walk into town. So in my reality, which is Lisbon, I think, they do have quite a lot of things. Obviously, I'm sure it could be bettered. But I think it would probably also be interesting to see what they already get on board and see what's missing that could be offered at the ports that they might require. Just a thought.
Yeah, thank you so much. Lorenzo, that's really interesting what Catarina has just said. Maybe it's part of the next steps you have in mind for the crew-friendly approach.
Right. Thank you, Catarina. The next step is to see the results in a map. We are trying to create a map. So all the port agents and the cruise lines, when we do the approach to the Met, they see what they have every port. So they can see at a glance, what Lisbon have, what Palermo, what Motril, Cadiz, Malaga, Valencia, Carvala, Istanbul, whatever port, our member at glance. And that is going to help a lot to the port agents, because they are going to see, oh, this port is suitable for this and that. No? And the second step in our route map that was approved in the Malaga General Assembly was what Catarina said. We have to do a committee all together with cruise lines. Cruise lines, we think port operations, crew departments, and healthy and safe also departments, with port authorities and port agents. And in that committee or that council, all together, we work together to first with information, because this is the most important, to share information, to don't duplicate service, to see what are the services of every port, because we always said our diversity is our strength. We are asymmetric, happily asymmetric ports. So in that asymmetric and that diversity, every cruise line have to take what we have, no? And it is what said Catarina. We have to talk with the cruise lines to do that committee. So when we have the map is the next step. Maybe after Burgas, we are going to try to present a draft. And after Burgas, when we do our wonderful General Assembly, we work. So maybe like a Christmas present, we are going to have the map, and we are going to fund that, to create that committee with the cruise lines, and to learn from them what they have, examples, and what you say, programs, tours, all they know how. That is very important, because they are our clients, to improve, to learn, and to go step by step to doing more. It's what Kate said. We are in our first step. We know now what we have, because this is important. We have the data. With data, when you have the data, you have a way to go. Yeah?
You can implement something. Before my next question, which will be to Kate, actually, if there is somebody in the audience who replied to the survey, who wants to say something, more than welcome to open the floor to you.
I would like.
Yes, Ioannis, please, of course.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Just to say two things. We should take into consideration that also the crew are our customers, and that the money impression they can live in the destination is very big, and is not being counted enough. But I know that they go out and shop and get provisions. That's the one aspect. And the second thing is that, wherever you have, make sure that you give them proper information. Doesn't matter if you are high up or low down. Passengers tend to ask the crew, where do I go? What do I see? So if they have the information, they will relay good information. And when you control the information, believe me, you have better results. And this is very important. And lastly, I know of a new initiative, which I will let you know in the following weeks. there's been a new app being developed as we speak that will be for seafarers and crew around the world, that they will be able to, local shops offer discounts or special offers for crew, and they will be able to go in with this one app and find these places and go in and shop and get the provisions or whatever. So this is something which I will let you know, but this is something very new and fresh to assist crew on, you know, getting something slightly cheaper than anybody else because of the special circumstances. That's it from me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's talk about Cadiz now, Kate. Please, Cadiz has a good number of cruise calls, actually. How do you think the crew think about Cadiz? You have prepared some, kindly prepared some slides for us this morning.
Well, yes, thank you, Anne-Marie. Yes, we do have quite a few cruise calls here in Cadiz. But like most of us in this meeting, there are initiatives underway, but they're not actually, we don't have them consolidated into one document. And if anything, my preparation for this webinar serves to realize what needs to be done rather than what is already available for the crew right now here. So briefly, I'll go through what we have in the port, the destination, and the shipyard here. So, Anya, if you'd like to pass on to slide 2. So going on to the port, well, here we have the port bang in the center of the city. So that's such an advantage also for the crew, as it enables most of the crew to actually get off the ship and go into town. We have the image at the top is the small area of seating and benches, where of course we have free Wi-Fi. But this Wi-Fi again is shared passengers with the crew, so it's not just a space for the crew, but it's mostly the crew that actually use it. Yesterday we had the Queen Victoria here, and I sat down in this space with some of these guys and talked to them. I wanted to sort of thinking what their opinion was so I could share it. But in fact, I think actually terrified the light out of them. They were more scared than anything else. Who's this woman coming to speak to me? But what they did say is, the better the Wi-Fi connection, the happier we will be. So, we know that. Of course, they have restrooms available for them. We have a great information point with maps and all sorts of information on the town, the destination. There again, it's shared between the crew and the passengers. Some time ago, and recently modified, we created a mobile app. We called it Discover Cadiz. Initially, this was for the cruise passengers, but we have noticed the crew are using it, as well as all other tourists in the city. And basically, the idea was to have the passengers geolocated. So at all times, there's a QR code, so they download it. So they always know where they are, how many minutes walking back to the ship, and of course, the Google Maps route on how to get back to the ship. It has all sorts of information on pharmacies, taxis, shops, so they can move around happily. We also have in the terminal some duty-free shops. So they're very small, but they do offer lower prices for crew. And of course, as they have very cheap SIM cards, which are very popular with the crew. The Port Authority, we have a project underway to enlarge and improve our cruise terminal and facilities, so that the timing is bang on, great. For us to be able to take the crew into account, talking to the engineers about it, about providing some kind of space or services for them. If we move on to the next slide for the destination.
Yes, please.
Yeah, as I said, shall I go on?
Yes, please.
As I said, with the port in the city, in the town centre, it's only 5 minutes away from the supermarket. So, that's really good for the crew. They go off and they do their shopping. We have the hop-on, hop-off bus at the port gate. They're offering very good discounts for crew to be able to sort of get on the bus and see around the town, which apparently, speaking to them, they do take advantage of. The destination, we also have the Torre da Vida. It's an obscure camera. A main tourist attraction in Cadiz. They offer free visits for the crew. So speaking to them, that not a great amount, but every call there's a few crew members who go up and have a look. We have Cadiz Centro Comercial Abierto. It's an association for representing shops, bars, restaurants. They've created a leaflet called Shopping Cadiz, and it offers discounts in certain shops or restaurants, bars. Of course, this is for passengers as well as crew. The usual tax-free shopping available in the main department stores. We have several exchange points in the city where the crew can change currencies or send money home. And there's Wi-Fi available in certain points of the city. Strangely enough, it's the crew who seem to know where they are. Once again, we don't have that properly documented for them.
Yes, but you have already a lot of services and advantages offered to the crew. I think that's a really good point of a starting point. You said before in your presentation, we don't have a lot of things. I think actually you have, but you also mentioned the shipyard you have in Cadiz, and yes, actually Cadiz is one of the few European ports with a shipyard specialty in cruise ship refurbishment. Does this affect the crew in some way, in any way? Kate, please.
Yeah, with Kathy and Kate, it's complicated. Yeah, Anya, do you want to move on to the next slide? Well, yeah, we have Navantia has it, is the shipyard in Cadiz. It's become one of the most important international shipyards for the refurbishment and refit of cruise ships over the last few years. And we actually have 15 cruise ships booked in for next year with various different cruise lines. Once again, the shipyard is in the city centre. It's 10 minutes walk from the bars and the shops, which is quite unusual, unlike other more remote shipyards. Of course, the crew, they work very hard while they're working on board, long hours, etc. But when they do have time, it's great for them to be able to walk 10 minutes into the town, to the bars, restaurants, and have some fun. There are up to 3,000 or over 3,000 crew members on board at any time. You know, they can be on board for 2 weeks, up to 3 months. So it's important that they're taken care of. The shipyard itself doesn't, I've spoken to them, they don't have any kind of direct program right now for crew satisfaction or crew rest. But between the shipyard, the town council, and the shipping agents, you know, they're offering services like Catarina said, you know, sports facilities are offered, free football, basketball matches are being arranged when requested by the ship itself. There's buses organized for them to take them to the shopping malls. You know, even if they just want to go and visit Sarah, you know, it's put on for them. And there's a taxi stop at the shipyard 24/7. Kathy is going to talk about the agents, but I just do want to say they're doing an amazing job while the ships are in dry dock. You know, they're organizing everything, and they are taking care of the crew. You know, if we have crew in hospitals, they do take them SIM cards. They lend them phones so they can talk to their families while they're feeling sick. They're taking them books and magazines in, you know, their own language, etc.
I haven't had any idea that the shipyard was so close to the city. I think you can feel the crew presence in the city when there is some refurbishment in Navantia.
Absolutely. They're so important for the destination as well.
So my opinion is there is a lot of things already in Cadiz, but what do you think that should be done for the crew more than this? I mean.
Okay, Anya, do you want to show the last slide, and you'll be done with me? You said there's lots of things, but it's not consolidated in any way at all. So, you know, what you don't see and what you don't get data for, it doesn't get noticed. So, you know, not only do we need to look after the crew better and offer them more facilities, not shared with the passengers, you know, just for them to be relaxed and away from the passengers for the time. As Ione said, as Lorenzo said, the crew members are prescribers for the destination. You know, passengers are always asking, you can see them coming off the ship alongside the crew, and the crew are telling them which direction to go into. So they're asking for recommendations of what to do and where to shop and where to eat about the destination. So we need to show our crew that we care for them, and hopefully soon we'll all have a guidebook for them in our destinations. And, you know, I'd be happy, and so would my colleagues here in the port of Cadiz, to work together with you all guys on this project. And great news about the mobile app just for the crew. I think that's fab.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I love this last slide because, yes, we love seafarers in our ports.
Yeah, that was yesterday. That was yesterday, by the way.
Yeah, thank you so much. I love, yes, the spirits you have, and you can feel in Cadiz towards the crew members. Thank you so much. Thank you, Katy. Let's talk about your activity now. You are managing director of James Rose Navegaçao, so a Lisbon-based maritime company founded in 1860s. So you are the 5th generation of Rose, and I find this amazing, by the way.
I had no choice. It's in the blood. I had no choice.
It's your DNA, yes. So among your different activities, you are port agent for cruise ships. You told us before. So in your experience, in the different conversation you have with them, what are the first expectations or requests you have from the board in terms of port services or facilities we can learn from?
As in terms of port agency, normally what we do, I mean, we arrange anything the ship needs for the cruise. So just going back to basics, transfers from airports to hotels. We organize hotels. We organize transfers to hospital, to appointments. We book appointments. We deal with medical debarks, not only of passengers, but also of crew. And when that happens, as Kate was saying, we then look after them whilst they're in hospital. So we visit them, we take them newspapers if required, we buy them chargers, etc., etc., etc. So that's part of our job. That's nothing out of the ordinary. That's part of what we do. We also then, sorry, as I said, some cruise companies already have these kind of crew clubs on board. So we are also asked to arrange for buses to go to Fatima, because we have a lot of Filipino crew who are Catholic. So that's a big thing. That's also sometimes arranged by the tours agent. We get asked where they can find masses. So on Sundays, we actually have, I think it's one church that does mass in Filipino. So, or in English, I mean, various things. And then in the terminal, as I already said, they already do have quite a few things available. I think they actually, I mean, most crew will only have 2 or 3 hours during the day to be able to come out because they have a break. You know, it's very rare that they'll have the whole day off. I think they'll either have the morning off or the afternoon off, depending on their rank. And the fact that they have a lot of things in the terminal is good, but I think some of them actually like getting away. So the fact that the supermarket's a little bit far, it allows them to get out of the terminal and to feel as if they're, a normal person and not a crew member. So I think they also appreciate the fact of, having to kind of go out a little bit to go do their shopping, go to this, and most of them already know where to go because, I mean, at least here in Lisbon, we have some cruise companies that come every 10 days. So quite a few of the crew are locals in a way. They know where to go and buy this. They know where to go and buy the Filipino food because I know there's a chap here who's Filipino and he cooks. And so they go there and bring back food to the ship. So they also have their little routines. As regards what else we can do, in terms of Lisbon, I'm not really sure. It will also depend on crew by crew. I mean, I think the basics for them is the internet because, they all want to call home and nowadays they do it all via WhatsApp. So it's not even the question of, using data card, in terms of data cards because they have free Wi-Fi. So as long as they've got a mobile phone, they're on, WhatsApp. Most of the time they sit in the terminal in a corner and they do their thing. The fact of having, somewhere close by they can go fetch medicine, like, aspirins, the basics, the girls, sanitary products or whatever, have somewhere close by they can quickly, rush out, I think is also important. Again, in the terminal, we have the duty-free shops and all that. That's available to everyone. So, I mean, they can also partake in that. So as I say, I think it's also a question, I think it's fantastic what you're doing, gathering all this information. And as I said before, I think it's also important that maybe then once it's all gathered, the cruise companies also come in, maybe some crew, have some crew members partake in these discussions, because they'll be the best people to know, who know, what do they need? What would make their life easier or better when they come to ports? It might be something really small and insignificant for you and me, but for them it might be, enormous, which we don't know. So I think it would also probably be, beneficial if we have their input in some of these discussions. Maybe see if there's any crew members who could, be more or less part of, even if it's via email, but partake in, some of our discussions and some of the ideas we have. Yeah. So, but as I say, what we do is very much based on what the cruise line asks us to do. And some of the cruise lines are very, very good. Others not so good. But that's like everything.
So the lesson I would retain is to create, and that's your idea as well, Lorenzo, to create a link between ports and cruise lines in the committee you talked about before. Right, Lorenzo? So thank you so much, Catarina, for your suggestions. Calypso, please. Yes, I mentioned it before. You are global head of cruise logistics at ATPI. ATPI is a travel partner for many of the world's most successful shipping organization, including crew travel logistics. So you are in contact with crew most of the time. You are currently overseeing cruise and shipping companies develop their crew change logistics globally. So you are in close contact with them. But maybe we don't really know what it is to be a crew traveling the world. When we prepared this session together, we talked about their condition of travels. And we talked about something really important. We talked about welfare. So the survey shows, the result shows that 16% of the ports which ensures the survey provide emotional support to the crew. Although it is an important notion, we must take more into consideration. So what kind of proactive measures we can set up as ports so seafarers feel a bit home when they get ashore in our ports, in our lands? In your opinion, what can we do?
Marie, for this question. I mean, I think this is really important. Just to make it a bit easier for our audience, because I know these titles and everything is very big, to explain very briefly what we do. ATPI, through its global network, actually moves around 20% of the world's seafarers. So for us, crew has always been in the center. It's not like, it's passengers and now it's time to look at crew also. It is crew. And as you said, indeed, we do see an increasing interest from cruise and shipping companies in regards to welfare and well-being. And actually, if we think about it, it's no surprise, because it has to do directly with productivity, which of course is important, but it has to do with what COVID left us. There is, as we all know, as we all have experienced, there is a huge employee churn in the cruise companies. And it's not like it used to be, like, you have a seafarer and it's leaving from one cruise company to go to the next one. We have seen that there was a huge number of people leaving from the industry, going, trying to find jobs ashore. So cruise companies and shipping companies in general are trying to find ways to keep those people on their vessels, on their businesses and everything. Actually, I was reading a recent research, if I remember well, it was from a yacht management association, which is very close to the cruise concept. And they were saying that replacing a crew member, losing one from your pool and having to bring one new in, may cost from 32 to 48,000 per person. This is a huge number. I mean, if you think about it, needing like 30,000 minimum to replace one, and this has not only to do with travel, of course, it has to do with recruitment fees and training and possible even mistakes, because they are not very familiar with the actual vessel yet. So it is a huge cost for them. Now, going to your question on what can be done, I think what I can mostly probably share with you is what we have seen in our industry. I mean, from the travel perspective, which probably there are maybe some things we can also expand to the port. For example, we have seen that it is very important for crew to communicate, and communication is not only about communicate with their families. Of course, that goes without saying, and this is why Wi-Fi is king. We realized at some point that it is very important for these people to talk to experts about issues they have, because don't forget that these people may be from one point in the world traveling to the other end of the world, and they may have issues back home. Someone may be sick, someone, I don't know, they may be getting divorced or whatever. So they need some expert people to talk to. And this is actually why we partnered with ISWAM, the International Seafarers Welfare, what is the other one? Let me see that, sorry. Welfare and Assistance Network, which what they actually do is they have a helpline where every crew member can call, and they can, have some help, some professional help on their issues. Why not expand this to ports? I mean, okay, there are already some lounges that do have this, but I don't think it will cost much to have a corner and a telephone line where they can have some privacy and call with someone expert and make them feel better, so that they can go back on board. Even if there is not a proper lounge, there can be some corners there. Then I think I think it was Katie that said that feedback is important. I mean, these people want to express their views. They want to say what they want, and actually we need to hear what they want, because it may be simple things with no cost at sometimes that we don't even think about, and they may change the whole experience. For example, we saw at some point in one of those researches that we do, that what causes a lot of stress to these people is losing their luggage during the flight. I mean, you can imagine what it can be like. And it's not like losing the luggage the only thing, it's having to chase for the luggage, which is another story. So why not do something simple like, I don't know, a crew desk, a crew liaison hub or something at port, where when they go out, they can find all the updates, let's say, on what have happened with the case. Either this is a luggage case or another issue they have. At that point, probably all of us, like port agents and cruise companies and masters and everyone, can cooperate, and travel agents, of course, cooperate, and have everything ready for them when they go there to have it, in a very simple step. So really, really easy, small things that can change the whole experience. One more thing that we recently actually saw is that crew wants to be included. We saw that through a project we were doing with one cruise company. We're trying to do something about sustainability on board and cruise practices and everyone and things like that. And then at one of the discussions, crew realized what we were trying to do, and they asked to be involved. Very simple things like tips on how you can have sustainable cruising. And they actually asked if they can be ambassadors of this. They wanted to learn what they need to do to be sustainable themselves while cruising, but then they wanted them to be the ones to promote this to passengers. So again, why not extend this to ports and have sustainable ports experience and have a crew being the ambassadors of this whole experience for passengers this time. So they want to have their opinion heard, their view and everything. And I think it has to do with them being a member of the family. They want to feel like they're human. They are not just workers. They are a member of this whole family, and they have things to offer and not just work. So there are many, many, small things like this. Most of the times with minimum cost that can be done. Of course, there are many more ideas, and one of the items Lorenzo may have to do is, have some brainstorming sessions from all of us in the industry and see what else can be done. But small steps can, lead the way, I think.
Thank you so much, Calypso. We have a lot of new suggestions for you, Lorenzo. And we have a question from the audience, from our dear Francesca. For our panelists, or for you, Lorenzo, as well, what role does diversity management play in crew care, considering the number of nationalities of crew arriving at our ports and destinations?
Can I just interject there? Just quickly, going back to mental health, and I guess this can also be included, is it's very difficult, and we've had many cases where we had crew members who've had to be disembarked for psychological issues. It's not easy because most psychologists are Portuguese. They speak Portuguese, they were trained in Portuguese, and quite a few crew members are Filipino, Indonesian. So not only is there a culture shock there, but there's a language barrier. So any support, mental support, etc., that is given is extremely difficult, and we have major problems with that. So I think it's fantastic that something should be arranged, but maybe it should be done by the cruise companies, but with somebody on board who speaks, and I'm talking about mostly, South Asia, the Asian crew, because that's the majority, and their culture is just so different from ours. And I think it's very difficult to help, not only because of the language barrier, because if you're talking about personal things, it's very difficult to try and translate them into a language which isn't yours, and a doctor who also doesn't have that same language. So I think that is something which is great. But if there was an international helpline with people who spoke various languages, fantastic. But locally, it is very, very difficult. And we feel that because we've had crew having to be disembarked for psychological problems. And when they get to the hospital, it's very difficult for the doctors to help them because there's this major language barrier, apart from the other social and, all that. So just wanted to bring that up, that the ideas are fantastic, but they're not that easy to implement because that's a big, big complication. Yeah. And I think it's more down to the cruise companies should be the ones responsible for providing that type of support, or a helpline, more so than the ports, the agents, etc. That's just my
if I may, I fully agree with you, if I may say. I think the key here is prevention. Like we need to offer these guys at all ports and not ports, at all points of their travel during this whole way to the cruise, on the cruise vessel, at ports and everywhere. They have to have this support so that they don't have to to get disembarked because they have gone to a point where there is no return. That's the one thing. And the other thing is that, yes, this is why I was saying about international helplines where they can have something to originally prevent this. Because when the problem is really serious, yes, then we need someone face-to-face, and you need a lot of things.
Yeah, and the language barrier is a big thing. Not only the language, but the cultural barrier, because their culture is very different from ours. So.
The language is one thing, yes, but the culture, yes, it's a very important point you bring on the table. Thank you, Kathy. Lorenzo, you want to?
Because I think we are so focused in religious aspects when we talk about diversity, but diversity is something more, because it's very important. Yeah, but when you see the facilities of the ports, we are only thinking in Catholic Church, Muslim. In my case, we have a space for Muslims because we are a very big ferry port. But another diversity and challenge of the society, that the society is really changing very quickly. And what Catarina and Calypso said, sometimes we don't know really, because the crew is a human ecosystem. It's so big. We have the higher captains to all this, and it's very hierarchized also. So it's a good grade that we are giving them religious, because religious whatever is important for our health, for our mental health, but also new challenge about diversity, transsexual, double gender, and a lot of new and also what Catarina said, the classic is the language barrier. We have the same problem in Spain, because I think Spain, maybe Portugal is more advanced, but Spain also has trouble with the other language. So it's so complicated. The first barrier is the language, and our doctors, they are not prepared. Also in the private system, not only in the public. So this is a new approach. Thank you, Francesca, for letting us this new opportunity. And what we are seeing here, we have to do a series because we open new windows. Yeah. But at the end, we do a recap. Thank you.
Again, I think it's something we have to ask the crew members, because what we might think we're providing for diversity, we are actually not. So maybe, again, another question that we could go back to the crew members and ask them, what are their needs in terms of diversity? Again, religious and not only religious.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, it was, diversity is a big question, of course. And as you said, Lorenzo, we have the hierarchy of the crew. We have diversity in the crew, missions, jobs, and everything. We have dozens of nationalities on the cruise ships. So yes, that's a really important question to take in consideration as well. And now I'd like to leave the floor to our special guest this morning. We have MedCruise President online, Figen Ayan. Hello, Figen. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Literally, really online, actually.
Yes, you're on a bus line.
I'm on a tram, and talking about tram, I would like just to announce, I hope it's not too noisy, but we have just the tram station next to the port, and we talk with the municipality so that the crew members and the independent passengers can reach the historical peninsula in 8 minutes instead of actually long hours of bus drive. Actually, it's a saving of time, but it's a saving also in a way of in sustainability as well. I would like really to thank Anne-Marie, Lorenzo, and all the great input from all the previous speakers. I think that MedCruise has been the voice in a way of the crew members who are really the ambassadors of our destination and our port. And if a crew member says that one of our destinations is not safe, is not nice, the passengers, it will impact the tour participation, but also the independent passengers going on land. Secondly, as MedCruise, for us, it was important to thank, in a way, the crew members. If today the cruise activities have been able to resume, it's definitely thanks to the crew members who stayed on board the ships during the pandemic. So it's a big kudos to all the ports who are doing something for the crew members. So for Galata Port Istanbul, I have to say that I didn't create a crew area on purpose, because I wanted them to infiltrate the whole shops, and we're talking about 220 shops and restaurants at Galata Port Istanbul. And what we have done is, of course, to give free Wi-Fi, but also we talk with the tenants, and that might be inspiring for Ioannis. We didn't force the tenants to apply a certain percentage of discount, not only to the crew members, but to the passengers. And we asked them, what would you do? Some said 5%, Adidas is giving 10%, Benetton is giving 15% discount, as much as you are just showing your card. And I joined Calypso and all the initiatives that you talked about. The crew members are feeling totally integrated and not separated from the passengers, and that was really the feeling that we had actually in the industry, that the passengers and the crew were separated. So the thing I wanted to show, if it's possible, Nikki, if you can help me technically, is to show you the flyer that we have created with the marketing team of Galata Port Istanbul. Ioannis, that might be inspiring for you as well for your project. We divided the tenants according to their activities. And also we created a fixed menu in one of our restaurants so that the crew members can go there, and as they have only 2 hours, they can see directly a fixed menu that they can just enjoy with typical Turkish food. I won't take too much of your time, but I just wanted just to show the flyers that we have done, and I'm open, and I would like really, really to congratulate you and Marie for bringing this on the table, and Lorenzo and the whole secretariat team for doing a great job in the survey, and all the speakers who are doing phenomenal work. It's really, really inspiring to see all the things which are done for the crew members. We just need, as an association, to put the highlights on it, and I know that the cruise lines are really happy of our initiatives.
Thank you so much, Figen. If you can stop sharing the flyer so we can see Figen before she leaves. Thank you so much, Figen, for being with us, and yes, and take us with you on a visit of the tram of Istanbul.
I would love to. You have an open invitation all to come to Istanbul.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Before we close this station, I would like to, leave the floor and open the floor to our speakers. If you want to add something more, Calypso, Kate, Cathy, Lorenzo, before you have your conclusion as well. We can also open the floor, of course, to the audience online. If somebody has some questions or comments before we say goodbye.
If I may,
yes,
I like to do a recap. So thank you very much for our distinguished guest. It was a pleasure, the rehearsal, and today we learned a lot from Calypso, Catarina, and Kate, and Marie and me. We take notes. And I think to recap, something we are going to do, and I didn't announce, we are trying to do a brochure with all the ports as facilities and service, because one of our weakness is the communication. So communication is the key. The crew have to know what we have for them, what is available. The ports agents, the shipping agents, and they should have. So we are going to be inspired in what Cruise Baltic did. Cruise Baltic have a wonderful brochure for a crew, very easy, a template. So I'm going to work with the Secretariat for Tarragona to have that beautiful template with all our service and facilities to be the next step, because communication, I see, is one of the weakness. The other, I think, is what Catarina said, is we have to go to the crew. I don't know how, because it's not so easy. They are very shy. They are very in other world, but we have to go to the crew in all the different levels. So the crew is the key. To take ideas also, what Johnny said, economic impact is very important. Economic impact for our destinations is crucial. So we have to collaborate and involve our destination, that crew are one of the pillars for the economy. And for us, there are ambassadors, is what Hugo Sabino underlined in our General Assembly, the important, and also Calypso and Catarina said, if a crew member speak well about the destination, know very well our destination, it will help to our promotion. We don't have to pay to any advertisement. We have chat to chat, no talk to talk, no. And I think so. Collaboration is the key with the destinations. Is what Madam President said. We have to go to our destinations to prepare a program for the crew. Offers, support, diversity, and also what a wonderful Calypso bring to us. And they are human. So they are a human ecosystem. We have to take care of them. So we have to be embrace ports and destination, that crew-friendly environment, no? That crew supported environment. So we are doing that, and we are going to open also the committee, the map, the brochure, and also that beautiful flags that Secretariat made. We have that beautiful flags, Blondie, that we see how we are going to put in our ports with all that facilities. Now, to be a crew-friendly territory, a crew-friendly port. You know? So thank you very much, Anne-Marie, for the opportunity, for also change the hour. Thank you very much for all your help. Thank you to our 3 guests, to the Secretariat, and to all our attendants, to all the board members that always share this wonderful subject or item.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Thank you for bringing the topic on the table. So much more to come, as you just recap. So please come back anytime for an update. I would like, of course, to thank Kate, Cathy, and Calypso for your input, for sharing with us great experience, and especially for helping us to better understand the crew members so we can adapt our terminals, our services, at the end to be better ports to everyone, to take into consideration the whole cruise ship chain, every link of the cruise ship chain, and not only the cruise passengers, so we can leave a good impression and good memories of our ports and destination on the whole ship, because as we said, every passengers and every crew members are ambassadors of our ports and destination. Thank you so much to the 3 of you. Thanks again to MedCruise Secretariat, Nikki, Anya. I would like to say a big welcome to our new Secretariat advisor, Daniela. Welcome again to our wonderful association.
Thank you.
And thank you to all of you online, of course. I am looking forward to seeing you in a few days for our 63rd General Assembly in Burgas, Bulgaria.